Is Kamala black? Yes or no?
I'm going to let her speak on that. But to me, no.
Oh.
CNN sent a reporter out to a black barbershop to have a conversation with the boys in the hood to find out what they think of Donald Trump now that Kamala Harris is on the top of the ticket. See, they think that because now there's a black woman. See, CNN plays identity politics. So they think now that there's a black woman at the top of the ticket, if there were black voters who were going to vote for Trump over Biden, now they're going to switch because, hey, they're black after all. And that's what they do because that's just how racist CNN is. But then something funny happened. CNN got a very different story.
Is Kamala going to make you a little more likely or less likely to vote Democrat?
Well, hold on, wait, first, Ray, hold on, Ray. Is Kamala black? Yes or no?
I'm going to let her speak on that. But to me, no.
Oh. Is Kamala black? Yes or no?
I share that same view.
Wow. Is Kamala black? Yes or no?
I heard she was. I heard she's half black and half Asian.
Okay. Now, a couple of things that are noteworthy here. First of all, you gotta love CNN sending the whitest, dorkiest reporter that they can find to go to this black box. I'm out to talk to the black men. And he's doing the sport coat t-shirt look, which I do sometimes. It's fine. It works. But hey, you're going to a black barbershop. You better put on the Air Jordan t-shirt so that you can blend in, Simon, whatever the hell your name is. Look at what. Howdy, black folk. Look at me. I like the Air Jordans too. Let's have a debate. Who's the GOAT? Michael Jordan or LeBron? Come on, my man. That's just embarrassing as hell. But so he asked the question, does Kamala Harris make you more inclined to vote for her over Donald Trump? And the first thing that happens is that one of the patrons in the barbershop brings up the question of Kamala Harris's authenticity, her ethnicity, the authenticity of her ethnicity. He asked if she's really black, right? I mean, that's revealing. Watch it again.
Is Kamala going to make you a little more likely or less likely to vote Democrat?
Well, hold on, wait, first, Ray, hold on, Ray. Is Kamala black? Yes or no?
I'm going to let her speak on that. But to me, no.
Oh. Is Kamala black? Yes or no?
I share that same view.
Wow. Is Kamala black? Yes or no?
I heard she was. I heard she's half black and half Asian.
That, by the way, is the realest political roundtable I've seen on CNN in about a decade. That guy should have Jake Tapper's job. That's how you do a political roundtable. But the best part of this entire CNN thing is after we took our cameras to the hood to talk to the barbershop folks where they keep it real. We wanted to know what they think about Kamala Harris. As soon as they're done with that, because they didn't hear what they wanted to hear, we go back to the old white liberal dude in studio, Michael Smirkanich, and watch what he says.
When I played that audio on my SiriusXM radio program on Thursday, many callers who self-identified as African-American were quick to tell me that those men were the exception, not the rule. Some described them as low information voters, no different than you'd find among whites.
This is everything that's wrong with CNN and the media writ large when it comes to pandering to and pretending like they're reporting on the black community. Look at Michael Smirkanich, the whitest man in America, who then comments on that video. He just accidentally showed you reality and showed you what some would call news. And he says, now, before my viewers, all the white liberal elites who like to think like they care about what black people believe or think, before you get upset, don't worry, because I played this on on my Sirius XM radio show, which of course is paid subscription radio. It's not free to the world on real radio because Michael Smerconic couldn't really make it in that business. So he went and got his subscriber radio contract. I played that for my listeners. And what did he say? Callers who self-identified as black, which is a hilarious phrase, said that those guys are ignorant. The real black voices that we just went out of our way to capture at the barbershop, they're stupid. In fact, what did they say?
African American were quick to tell me that those men were the exception, not the rule. Some described them as low information voters, no different than you'd find among whites.
They're stupid, low information voters. They're not smart like me. They're like the dumb white people. There's just something glorious about the cushy little pampered white elitist old man with his white beard wagging his finger at those black men in the barbershop saying, wrong think, you're a low information voter. You might as well be white. I know that because the self-identified black callers to my Sirius XM radio show told me. But that's not even the best example of white liberal elite racism around this story we saw this weekend. Ladies and gentlemen, I bring you George Stephanopoulos interviewing Byron Donalds. Now, for those of you who don't know, that's Byron Donalds. He is, in fact, a black man. He is, in fact, a congressman. And George Stephanopoulos asked Byron Donalds about this apparently controversial question over whether black voters see Kamala Harris as authentically black or Indian or biracial or African American, which is not the same as black, by the way, right? Because you can be black and be from England or from Canada or from Ghana or from Jamaica, as her father was. So George Stephanopoulos pretends like he wants to know what this is all about, but in reality, George Stephanopoulos wants to argue with and shout down a black man for being uppity enough to have an opinion that George doesn't agree with. This is perfection. Watch.
And you just repeated the slur again. If it doesn't matter, why do you all keep questioning her identity? She's always identified as a black woman. She is biracial. She has a Jamaican father and an Indian mother. She's always identified as both. Why are you questioning that?
Well, George, first of all, this is something that's actually a conversation throughout social media right now. There were a lot of people who are trying to figure this out. But again, that's a side issue, not the main issue. The main issue,
sir. One second, you just did it. You just did it again.
Of the United States.
Why do you insist on questioning her racial identity?
You want me to talk?
I want you to answer my question.
George, now that you're done yelling at me, let me answer. He talked about it on the stage yesterday in Atlanta for what, 2 minutes? He spent more than 35, 40 minutes going after her record, talking about how radical of a senator that she was. She was the most liberal senator in the United States, in the United States Senate. That is a fact. He talked about the job that she did as vice president of the United States, a job, I will add, which has been a failure for the American people. I know you guys like to glom on to this that he talks about in jest or in a serious manner for about a minute or so, but what you do not cover is the litany of failures of Kamala Harris. That's what you're not covering, George.
So questioning somebody's racial identity for a couple minutes is okay?
George, I'm going to tell you again, he brought it up. AP is the one that wrote the headline when she first came in to the United States Senate. Didn't talk about her being black, talked about her being the first Indian American senator. AP brought that up. I mean, George, we could have this conversation for the entire segment, but none of this matters to the American people. What matters to the American people is, are we going to have the same policies of the Biden-Harris administration that has been destructive of the American people? Or are we going to have the policies of the Trump administration, which put America first, had low inflation, prosperous Americans, no matter your race, no matter your color, no matter your creed, and a foreign policy that kept America safe. Those are the facts that truly matter, because this issue is going to come and go. The lives of the American people is what's going to remain. And that's what matters more than anything else.
If it doesn't matter, I don't understand why you keep on repeating it, why the president keeps on repeating it, why those introducing the president yesterday
George,
keep on
actually,
repeating
I'm not
it.
the one who keeps repeating it. George, you're the one that's bringing it up now. That's
You've done
I
it,
understand why
sir.
you
You've done it.
up.
You've done it
Because,
3
George,
times. Every single answer
George,
you gave me. Now let me finish, sir.
George,
Every single answer you
asked
gave, you
me-
repeated the
asked
slur.
me, George. That's why I'm pushing back on you now. George, you
Right,
asked
and-
me the question 3 times. I responded, but I'm
And
also
every
talking about
single
what
time you
truly
repeat
matters
the
in this
slur.
election.
That is exactly my point. You simply can't say that it's wrong.
George, so then what you're saying, and I want to get off this topic because it's not the only thing that's going on. But George, now you're saying that AP is the one that slurred Kamala Harris, because those are the facts. You can go to the internet and look at the clips, George, if you want to, or we can talk about this now. I prefer to talk about the future of our country, because the American people are struggling. The American people do need serious policy decisions to be made, and they need serious leadership on the world stage. Kamala Harris has not proven that she can do that. Donald J. Trump has proven that he can do that.
AP did not say that Kamala Harris is not black. She is biracial. She is Indian. She is black. You continue to repeat the fact that you continue to repeat the slur. I don't understand why you and the president do it, but it's clear you're not going to say that it's wrong. And you've now established that for our audience.
Thank you to Newsbusters, as always, for that clip. Boy, that was, when I said that's beautiful, it's beautiful of Byron Donald, first of all, to pivot, deflect the attacks that George Stephanopoulos made and go right back to policy, right back to policy, right back to policy, but also highlight the fact that Stephanopoulos is the one who was angry, who was yelling, who was shouting down, and who was insistent that you must talk about this race issue. It's incredibly handled by Byron Donalds. I love that man. But you may be saying, oh, this is wrong. This is bad. We got to talk about the policies. Don't talk about this. Let me explain to you why this is important, actually, and why it's great to have a Byron Donalds or Michaela Montgomery out there reiterating these issues. First of all, because it is something that a lot of voters are caring about, as you saw in the Black community there from the CNN clip. But secondly, this is why it's important. Here's the latest 30-second ad from Kamala Harris on her social media platforms. Take a look at this.
Oh, it's good to be back in Georgia. He does not walk it like he talks it. Do we believe in freedom? Yes, sir. Do we believe in opportunity? Get this comment, Anna. Do we believe in the promise of America? And are we ready to fight for it? And when we fight, we win.
All right. Did you notice something about that? Oh, Trump needs to talk about policy. Don't talk about her and what she's all about. Just talk about policy. Well, here's the problem with that. She's not talking about policy. You see, they're selling a product to you. They are not selling policy to you. They are selling you a script. They're selling you a Hollywood character that they've created. You saw that video just now. It was celebrities. It was famous people. It was music. They're not talking about policies. They're not telling you, when you vote for us, here's what we're going to do. They're selling you a product. Look at this. Go to the website right now for Kamala Harris. Other than demands for money, you get what? A store, so you can buy merchandise. You get take action, which means give us money or sign up to volunteer for us. Or you get meet Kamala Harris, which is a fuzzy bio of her. You know what you don't get anywhere on the website? You don't get policy. Nowhere on the menu is there anything about her policies. What will you do if you win? What will Kamala Harris do if she becomes president? Let's take a look at her website and see. Nothing. Nothing. You go to Donald Trump's website, And the very first menu item you get is platform. You click on the platform button. Donald Trump tells you, look at these points. Number 1, seal the border. Number 2, carry out deportation. Number 3, end inflation. Number 4, dominant energy producer. Number 5, stop outsourcing. Number 6, and each one of these things, as you drill down on the website, has data and facts to back it up. Donald Trump does have policies. He does have ideas. He does have a platform. He does tell you what he's going to do when he runs and if he wins. Kamala Harris has no policies. It's like nailing Jell-O against the wall. Everything that we know she stood for and ran for back in 2020, when she tried to be the Democrat nominee and she didn't even make it to Iowa for the caucuses because Democrats hated her so much, she's now disavowed and said that she doesn't stand for those things anymore. So what the hell does she stand for? Kamala Harris is a character that has been created and a script that has been written that is now playing out before your eyes, and it's being sold to the American people as a movie, as a product. And so Donald Trump and Republicans and Byron Donalds and Michaela Montgomery at that rally in Atlanta, they are doing what any discerning consumer would do when being sold a product. You're looking at the label and you're trying to figure out what the ingredients are. And there's nothing wrong with that, especially if there's a whole lot of ingredients in there that you don't understand or you're not familiar with and you want to know if it's going to hurt you. Kamala Harris is a complete and total blank slate that very powerful people within the Democrat Party and very, very, very wealthy donors have now propped up and placed by removing Joe Biden in an extraordinarily undemocratic and un-American way and placing her in his position to potentially be the next president of the United States without one person voting for her to be on the ticket. I know we used to do it that way in the old days. Well, not in the last 100 years have we done it this way. And no one's allowed to ask questions about who the hell she is and where she came from. We just learned this weekend that her husband had an extramarital affair when married to her first wife, and that affair was with one of his employees, a nanny, a babysitter, many years her junior, and he impregnated her and then paid her hush money. Yeah, that's right, hush money. Those are the new rules. And non-disclosure agreement, that's illegal. That's hush money. Paid her to keep it quiet, and all we're told about the baby that was created in this tawdry affair is that she didn't keep the baby. Well, what does that mean exactly? Does it mean that he paid her to kill the baby before it was born? Or does it mean she put the baby up for adoption? We're just learning this now, even though she's been vice president for 4 years. She ran for president and ran for vice president, and no one's ever scrutinized or vetted who she is. If you ask the average American, where did Kamala Harris grow up and spend her formative years, her childhood and her teenage years and her high school years? What percentage of Americans would know that she spent those years in a foreign country? Do you know that? Do you know that Kamala Harris didn't live in America and was not raised in America from a young age of her childhood through high school? Those are pretty formative years, aren't they? And it's not like she grew up on a military base overseas. She grew up in an elite little neighborhood outside of Montreal, Canada, because that's where her mother got transferred for a job. Shouldn't we ask questions and vet who this candidate is and find out what she's made of and what the ingredients in this product are, if all they're doing is selling us a product? Oh, her policies don't matter. Her issues don't matter. What she does doesn't matter. Her track record doesn't matter. Her resume doesn't matter. What matters is what she stands for and who she is and what she represents. They've done this before. It's how we got Barack Obama. It's how we got community organizing in the White House. It's how we got so divided. Maybe, just maybe, we should be a little circumspect this time and ask those questions about who she really is. And when leading Black voices step up courageously in front of cameras and say, I'm not sold on this woman as the savior of the Black community, the way these white liberal journalists from New York and Washington, D.C. and Philadelphia are trying to sell her to me on. Maybe instead of shouting them down and yelling at them, George Stephanopoulos, you should shut your white privileged yap and take a listen to what the hell they're talking about. Just a thought.